The long-awaited solo leveling Season 2 begins with Jinna calling her brother Jinwoo, reminding him about the parent-teacher meeting. Jinwoo arrives at the school looking confident and dashing as ever. For those needing a refresher, 10 years ago, mysterious gates began appearing worldwide, allowing humans to awaken powers to combat the monsters inside. Jinwoo started as an E-rank hunter, struggling to provide for his younger sister and bedridden mother. However, after a perilous encounter in a double dungeon, he obtained a game-like leveling system, skyrocketing his abilities and eventually awakening the power to command a shadow army. His ultimate goal was to save his mother, and by the end of Season 1, he had grown into an extraordinary powerhouse. Now, in the present, Jinwoo's visit to the school causes a stir among the students, especially the girls, who can't stop admiring him. Jinna's teacher commends her for her stellar academic performance and even hints at a bright future. However, she raises a serious question. If Jinna were to awaken as a hunter, would Jinwoo allow her to enter dungeons? Jinwoo is firm in his refusal, wanting to protect his sister from the dangers of the hunter world. The teacher shares a story about another student who recently awakened and dropped out to pursue hunting full-time. Jinwoo recognizes this student as someone he encountered during a C-rank raid and learns she was a friend of Jinna's. Meanwhile, tensions are rising in South Korea with the arrival of Dong-soo, a notorious hunter and the brother of a man who recently died during a raid. Despite being on his home turf, Dong-soo shows no respect for his country, arriving only to find and confront the two survivors of the raid, Jinwoo and Jinho, harboring clear intentions of revenge. Elsewhere, high-ranking hunters like Go Gun-hee are alarmed by the discovery of a winged ant near Japan's coast, a troubling sign pointing toward Jeju Island and the threat it harbors. Amid these developments, Jinwoo prepares for a new dungeon raid. This time, the team includes a new A-rank hunter, Kim Chul, who takes charge as the leader. However, Kim Chul doubts the worth of having E-rank hunters like Jinwoo on the team, unaware of Jinwoo's true strength. As the raid begins, Jinwoo quickly senses something is amiss. His instincts prove correct when the gate suddenly transforms into a red gate, a deadly phenomenon where escape is impossible until the dungeon boss is defeated. Acting quickly, Jinwoo attempts to leave the gate but finds himself unable to, confirming the grave danger. He warns Kim Chul about the seriousness of the situation before proceeding with the raid. Inside the red gate, the team faces relentless ice bears and ice elves. Kim Chul decides to split the group into two, a high-ranking team to push ahead and a lower-ranking team to stay behind. Jinwoo, despite being underestimated by Kim Chul, chooses to stay with the lower-ranking hunters, understanding the dangers they might face and knowing they'll need his protection. Demonstrating his resourcefulness, he even provides warm coats for the group, impressing everyone. The turning point comes when Jinwoo encounters a massive horde of ice bears. With his shadow army, he defeats the monsters, showcasing his incredible strength. However, the battle escalates when the ice bear boss appears. This creature is far stronger than the rest, pushing Jinwoo to his limits. As his mana depletes, his shadow commander Igris steps in to finish the fight. Igris's precise and flawless attacks overwhelm the boss, securing victory. Jinwoo reflects on Igris's strength, admitting that his shadow soldier is still more powerful than him in many ways. Meanwhile, on the other side of the dungeon, Kim Chul's team encounters a more perilous situation. His squad is ambushed by a group of ice elves. Kim Chul's overconfidence, paired with his underestimation of the ice elves, leads to catastrophic results. The elves are incredibly intelligent, and they methodically hunt down Kim Chul and his team, demonstrating their cruel nature. Despite being a high-ranking hunter, Kim Chul and his squad are overwhelmed. In a twist, the Ice Elf leader singles out Kim Chul, focusing all its attention on him. Sung Jinwoo looked at the corpses of the bears and used Arise to create more shadow soldiers from the bodies, the Bear King among them. Meanwhile, outside the Red Gate, Baek Yunho asked how long had it been to, which Woo Jinchul replied that it had been about 3 hours. Right after, An Sangmin said that that was roughly 3 days on the other side, and Baek Yunho added that it was supposed to be particularly harsh inside of a red gate. Afterward, Hwang Dong-soo said that Sung Jinwoo was probably dead, and began to walk away while saying that going there had been a waste of time. Nevertheless, he suddenly recalled that our protagonist was not with the White Tiger Guild and asked why exactly he was with their strike team. Sangmin then confessed that Sung Jinwoo was an acquaintance of his, before adding that our protagonist wanted to observe a C-rank raid, which was why he had taken him in. Unfortunately, Hwang Dong-soo didn't buy the other's story, and before An could react, Hwang grabbed him by the neck with one hand, before raising him while asking him if he thought he was that gullible. Hwang Dong-soo then asked the other what he had dug up, before saying that the other had always had a knack for sniffing out interesting things. However, before Dong-soo could say anything else, Baek Yoon-ho grabbed his arm and demanded Dong-soo to take his hands off Sangmin. Nevertheless, Dong-soo didn't back down and asked Yoon-ho if he really wanted to start giving him orders before releasing Sangmin, while mocking Yoon-ho for thinking that he was a big fish. Obviously, that pissed Yoon-ho, who released his power while Sangmin thought that things weren't good. After all, if they were not stopped soon, they would have an S-rank battle on their hands. Of course, Dong-soo wasn't willing to give up and released his power too. Right after, both launched a punch to start the fight. Back inside the Red Gate, Kim Chul was visibly shaken, while saying that if they had had their gear, they could have won. Right after, he arrived at the place where Jinwoo had fought the bears, and after seeing the corpses, he understood why none of the ice bears had come out. He then wondered if those E-ranks had done that, but he quickly dismissed the idea because they couldn't be strong enough. Then he suspected the elves and panicked before starting to run away. Outside of the gate, Woo Jin-chul had managed to block Dong-soo and Yoon-ho before telling the former that he had re-evaluated Jinwoo 2 months before and had confirmed he was E-rank. Right after, he retold the official story about Dong-soo's younger brother's death, but the other didn't believe him. Nevertheless, Dong-soo then redirected his attention to the guy from Yujin Construction. At that moment, Dong-soo received a message on his phone and, after reading it, he decided to leave. As for An Sang-min, he was sure that our protagonist would survive and return. Back inside the gate, Jinwoo's group was happily chatting around a campfire while eating, which pissed Kim Chul, who blamed them for his misery. Right after, he began walking towards them while yelling at them and thinking that Park Hee-jin had known everything since the beginning. Nevertheless, before he could reach the group, our protagonist kicked him away, surprising the others. Immediately thereafter, he demanded the elves to show themselves, since their aura was way too strong to not be noticed. The elves then removed their camouflage, and their leader, who was riding a horse, began to talk to our protagonist. In fact, the leader told Jinwoo, who could speak the monster's language, that he wasn't human because the voice in their heads didn't order them to attack him. Sadly, when Jinwoo asked the leader about who they were and why they were fighting humans, a glitch occurred that prevented the leader from answering. Right after, our protagonist summoned his shadow soldiers and the fight began. Obviously, Park Hee-jin and the others from Jinwoo's group ran away since they were too weak to take part in that battle. The battle kept going, and our protagonist quickly realized that the leader, whose name was Barca, was way stronger than him, to the point that even if he fought alongside Igris, it'd probably be tough, which meant that Jinwoo needed a stronger fighting force. The battle continued, and our protagonist summoned the mages to launch a huge attack against Barca, who couldn't dodge it. At that moment, Kim Chul regained his consciousness and immediately ran toward Jinwoo to kill it. Moreover, Barca did exactly the same, leaving our protagonist in the middle of both attacks. Nevertheless, Jinwoo summoned Igris to distract Barca, and then the shadow killed Kim Chul. Right after, our protagonist awakened the hunter as a shadow soldier named Iron, and he made Iron fight Barca. The battle then resumed, and shortly after, all the elves were killed by Jinwoo's shadow soldiers, which pissed Barca a lot. The leader then battled Iron, Igris, and Jinwoo, but despite being incredibly strong, Barca eventually ended up being killed by them and the shadow mages. Afterward, the exit gate appeared and Jinwoo informed Park Hee-jin and the others, who were still flabbergasted by the battle they had witnessed, that it was time to leave. Outside, Baek Yoon-ho was astonished to see that the weaker ones had survived, while Kim Chul and the rest had died. On the other hand, An Sang-min confirmed that our protagonist was truly powerful. Yoon-ho then tried to force Jinwoo to answer him a few questions, but our protagonist refused while saying that he should thank him since he had saved Yoonho's guild members. In the end, Yoonho backed down and apologized to Jinwoo, who then left with Song-yi, while thinking that it had been a shame that he had been unable to awaken Barca as a shadow soldier. As for the guildmaster, he immediately asked Park Hee-jin about our protagonist, and she quickly confirmed that Jinwoo had killed the dungeon boss. Right after, Yoonho ordered Sangmin to recruit him. The next day, Jinwoo met with Yoo Jinho and Song-yi, and Yoo Jinho misunderstood our protagonists and the young girl's actions, concluding that they might be lovers. As the expedition kicks off, we see that thanks to Jinwoo's trusty specters, clearing out dungeon enemies has become laughably easy. They're practically speed-running the dungeon like pros. But wait, there's more. The specters aren't just fighting, they're also handling the tedious chore of collecting materials. Jinho, watching all this unfold, starts to feel a little guilty. After all, he's basically standing there like an NPC while Jinwoo's army does everything. Determined to contribute something to this friendship, Jinho later insists on taking Jinwoo out for a meal. Cut to their outing, where Jinho, now gloriously drunk, spills his heart out. He proudly announces that he'll soon be able to take the guild leader exam, finally graduating from sidekick status. But that's not the juiciest part. Fueled by alcohol and unchecked emotions, Jinho dives into his family drama, ranting about how much he hates his older brother. For as long as I can remember, he's been the human version of a dungeon trap, Jinho complains. You, Jinwoo, are the brother I wish I had. Touched but also mildly embarrassed, Jinwoo offers a symbolic olive branch. Fine, if you want, we can be brothers from now on. Cue Jinho's tears of joy. Meanwhile, in the United States, chaos is brewing. An anonymous hunter attacked a hunter base, but surprisingly surrendered without much resistance. Turns out the guy doesn't speak English, so the USA Hunters Association ropes in Dong-soo to translate in Japanese. As if things weren't weird enough, it's revealed this mystery man goes by the name Hanan. Spicy. Back to Jinwoo. Now that he's leveled up like a gamer on double XP weekend, he decides it's time to face Cerberus, the three-headed beast that humiliated him in the past. But just before the epic rematch, the system hits him with a curveball. A new mission requiring him to collect 10,000 souls in the Demon Castle. Jinwoo, ever the overachiever, shrugs and accepts. Switching gears, we learn Jinho's been making moves of his own. He successfully secures his guildmaster license, his golden ticket to running a guild. The only hurdle left? Convincing his dad to actually let him take over. At first, it seems like a tough sell since his older brother is vying for the same spot. But when their father learns that Jinwoo is Jinho's buddy, he's suddenly on board, with one condition. Jinho must recruit Jinwoo into the guild. Talk about friendship goals under pressure. Meanwhile, at the White Tiger Guild, Choi has been keeping a huge secret. The giant ants are evolving. Yep, now they've got wings and are planning their great escape from the island. Cha-hee is understandably horrified and demands to know why Choi didn't tell anyone. Choi, ever the cool-headed strategist, responds, "Because I didn't feel like causing a citywide panic." Priorities, right? Returning to Jinwoo, he's smashing through demons left and right, and things are getting intense. He even picks up a scroll that acts as a key to the 7th floor of the Demon Castle. But before he can continue, he has to deal with waves of enemies. Thankfully, his alpha bear buddy, now affectionately named Tank, is here to help. Days turn into a grind fest, with Jinwoo fighting, eating, and repeating like it's his full-time job. Outside the portal, Heejin and Han are frantically searching for Jinwoo, clueless that he's in a dungeon living his best power-leveling life. Finally, Jinwoo makes it to the zone boss. The showdown begins with the boss doing what all bosses do best, launching an OP attack out of nowhere. Jinwoo manages to deflect it, but the boss's agility proves to be a real headache. Despite landing some solid hits, the boss's health bar barely budges. But Jinwoo, the master of strategy, tricks the boss into falling for a reverse counterattack, ultimately taking him down like a pro gamer, clearing a raid. Meanwhile, Dong-soo is interrogating Gwan, who drops some cryptic lore about portals and monsters being just the tip of the iceberg. Oh, and by the way, Gwan casually reveals he's Jinwoo's dad. Dong-soo, in disbelief, informs Dwan that his son is dead, supposedly lost in a red portal. Naturally, this bombshell leads to an off-screen brawl that leaves Dong-soo wrecked and parts of the city in ruins. Back to Jinwoo. After defeating 2 bosses, he combines some artifacts in his inventory, which gives his stats a major boost. But with his food supplies running low, he decides to pause his journey. The trip to the demon castle wasn't all bad, though. He's managed to snag 2 key ingredients needed to craft the elixir of life, which he plans to use to cure his mom's mysterious illness. He then realized he was only 1 step away from completing the elixir of life. However, to get the final item, he needed to level up before returning to the demonic castle. The problem? He was still stuck as a rank E hunter and couldn't participate in high-level raids. Deciding it was time to stop hiding his strength, Jinwoo headed to the assessment building to have his rank re-evaluated. At the same time, a scout from the White Tiger Guild was on the lookout for potential recruits, but was unimpressed by the weak hunters passing by. That changed when Jinwoo entered the building. The scout froze, his eyes widening as he quickly called the guildmaster, Baek Yoonho, who was equally shocked to hear Jinwoo was there for a reassessment. While waiting in line, a nervous rookie worried about receiving a low rank, fearing it would make paying his bills impossible. Another hunter tried to reassure him, saying that even if he only reached rank D, smaller guilds would still want to recruit him. When Jinwoo's turn came, he handed over all his personal details. The staff member assumed he was just another frustrated rank E hunter refusing to accept his limits. She told him to place his hand on the black crystal for the test. When he did, the machine produced an error. Thinking it was just a glitch, she reset it and asked him to try again. The machine failed again. Alarmed, she called her superior to check the equipment. The boss stepped in to run the test, but the same thing happened. That's when he realized the issue wasn't the machine, it was Jinwoo. His power level was beyond measurable. The boss whispered in shock, "This guy is one of the top 10 in the country. He's rank S." Elsewhere, in a nearby park, Woo Jinchul was chatting with a red-haired colleague about the mysterious hunter who had intervened at the Red Gate. Jinchul denied rumors that it was Sung Il-wan, despite speculation. Curious, the red-haired colleague asked who it might have been. Jinchul admitted he wasn't certain because he hadn't stayed until the end of the incident, but suspected Jinwoo. He decided to keep quiet until he had concrete proof. Suddenly, a commotion from the assessment building caught their attention. Rumors spread that a hunter was causing a scene over their rank. Jinchul decided to investigate, and his colleague joined him out of curiosity. Back at the building, Jinwoo's assessment was postponed because the detector couldn't handle his immense power. Everyone watching knew the delay meant one thing: Jinwoo was a rank S hunter. Smaller guild scouts were thrilled at the chance to recruit him, but their excitement was cut short when a high-profile figure arrived. It was Choi Jongin, the leader of the Hunters Guild and one of the most powerful hunters in South Korea. Known for his incredible fire magic, which could destroy entire buildings, Choi Jongin approached Jinwoo with confidence. With a piercing gaze, he said, "No need for fancy tests. There's no doubt you're rank S." Choi Jongin introduced himself politely and invited Jinwoo to join his guild. But Jinwoo walked past him without hesitation, saying he was busy. Everyone, including Choi, was stunned by the snub. Choi even asked his assistant if he had failed to introduce him properly. By the time they turned to look again, Jinwoo had disappeared. Smiling, Choi remarked he'd make a great assassin. Moments later, Baek Yoonho arrived, out of breath from rushing to the scene. Choi jokingly asked if Yoonho had turned into a tiger to get there so quickly. Later that night, Jinwoo visited his comatose mother in the hospital. Silently, he promised to find a way to wake her up, telling her to hold on just a little longer. Out of nowhere, Woo Jinchul appeared, asking Jinwoo if he was the one who had defeated the monsters in the double dungeon. Jinchul admitted that Jinwoo had taught him to question his instincts. Jinwoo replied casually, "We meet again," only half listening as Jinchul rambled on. But he perked up when Jinchul mentioned that the president of the Hunter Association was waiting to see him. From the shadows emerged Go Gun-hee, the president of the association. He congratulated Jinwoo on becoming a rank S hunter and explained that the reassessment wasn't necessary since everyone already knew the result. Go Gun-hee went on to invite Jinwoo to join the Hunter Association, offering him a prestigious position. He explained that while the association didn't have the fame or wealth of the major guilds, it served as a neutral power, ensuring balance between the 5 largest guilds. Jinwoo was intrigued but ultimately declined the offer, stating, "I want to fight. My place is in the dungeon." Go Gun-hee, stunned by Jinwoo's resolve, decided to cancel his plans for the evening and told Director Woo, "Let's hit the bar." As Jinwoo left, he muttered that he couldn't accept the offer because the association mostly handled low-level cases. He needed to grow stronger to save his mother. The next day, Wang Dong-soo woke up in the hospital, furious and plotting revenge against Jinwoo's father for humiliating him. Meanwhile, Jinwoo searched for ways to boost his power but found that most artifacts were far too expensive. He considered selling the Orb of Greed, but worried it would raise suspicion. He came across a job posting for a mining team and decided to give it a shot. At the dungeon site, the attack team, led by Choi Jongin, cleared most of the monsters with overwhelming firepower. Jinwoo observed quietly, impressed by both Jongin's strength and Cha-Hae-in's presence. She almost detected him, but Jinwoo suppressed his aura to avoid her notice. After the attack team left, the mining team moved in. Jinwoo, however, only had his eyes on the dungeon boss. It radiated power even greater than Vulcan. Unable to resist, he snuck into the dungeon during his break. Jinwoo was about to engage the boss when Cha-Hae-in caught him in the act, asking, "What the hell are you doing here?" He was so caught off guard that he couldn't respond immediately. Then, he started rambling, claiming he had gotten lost and accidentally ended up in the area. Cha-Hae-in told him to get clear because that was the boss's room, and Jinwoo quickly realized she was incredibly strong for catching him off guard. However, she thought he was a bit off, since she was sure he had a weapon when he passed by her. As Jinwoo was walking away, Cha-Hae-in nearly had a heart attack. She made him wait while she started sniffing him like Ichiya from Fairy Tail.
待って。臭くない。
She noticed he didn't have that typical scent most hunters carried, a stench of butt cheeks. This intrigued her, and she got ready to pounce on him. But when she checked his badge, she found out he was only rank E. She wondered if he was naturally fragrant because of his low rank. Back with the mining crew, one of the workers commented on how lucky it was that Jinwoo had stumbled upon Cha-Hae-in, who was supposed to be patrolling and checking on the boss. Meanwhile, Jinwoo had assumed she was following him the whole time. A geeky guy in the crew chimed in, saying that Cha-Hae-in could smell a certain stench on hunters, and sure enough, most of them reeked like onions. That's why she was always clutching a tissue to her nose. She couldn't stand the smell around the others. Jinwoo started zoning out, wondering if this was some kind of system glitch, similar to that strange moment when Baruka said he hadn't heard a voice ordering him to kill. Later, Jinwoo went to collect his mission payout, and the crew was all over him, drooling at how quickly they finished the job, 2 hours ahead of schedule. The boss was so impressed, he even asked Jinwoo if he wanted to join him full-time, promising to take great care of him and be his sugar daddy. Jinwoo thanked him, but declined, saying he had other commitments. Then, the boss asked if Jinwoo would join the raid the next day. Jinwoo was shocked to learn the hunters were pulling another rank A raid. This time, they were bringing in a backup team, likely the only guild in Korea that could split into 2 squads to handle rank A portals. Jinwoo even asked what time he should show up the next day, and the boss got excited, saying he'd double Jinwoo's pay, which seemed fair for someone making barely anything. That night, Cha-Hae-in called her guild to inquire about a guy named Sung Jin who had been with the mining crew. She told them he must have gone off the rails, claiming he got lost, and expressed concern that he might be a spy from another guild. But truth be told, she couldn't help but find out who this guy was, who have her S-rank gate flowing with agua. She panicked when the boss mentioned that Go Gun-hee had ordered research on Jinwoo, but the Hunter Association had locked his files, preventing anyone from accessing them. That was strange for someone at Jinwoo's rank. The kid tried to ask a question, but Cha-Hae-in hung up, wondering why Jinwoo was so different. He was the first person she'd met who didn't stink and made her want to open up the gates of heaven. And here's the secret. He uses Dior Sauvage and Creed mixed together. Meanwhile, at the mining crew, Jinwoo suddenly remembered his first raid party, while everyone else was calling him to lunch. After all, he was basically a hero at this point. Out of nowhere, a knight from the attack squad arrived, asking if they could borrow someone from the mining crew, since their shield bearer didn't show up. The miners weren't about to risk their lives though, especially with the amount of work they already had. But the knight kept insisting, offering some extra pay. Too bad the mining crew wasn't interested in putting their necks on the line for pocket change. When no one else volunteered, Jinwoo decided to step up. That's when panic set in. The others started freaking out because an E-rank hunter joining an A-rank raid team was pure madness. They were all like, "You're too young to be Monster Chow." But Jinwoo figured he'd learn a lot just by watching. The squad leader, Sun Ki-hoon, was stunned when he saw Jinwoo carrying SpaceX on his back, like it was nothing more than a school bag. This portal was even bigger than the one yesterday, but the team reassured him that if it were truly dangerous, they wouldn't have sent in the backup squad. They mentioned that this situation was nothing like the double dungeon, where nearly everyone had been wiped out. Despite being the reserve team, the squad was stacked, 11 7 A-rank hunters and 6 B-rank. As they entered the dungeon, Jinwoo started to get a strange feeling in his gut, the same uneasy feeling he had before stepping into the red gate. Inside, a beautiful mage assured him not to be scared since they would protect him, especially her, as she was an A-rank healer who could patch him up if anything happened. She recited an old saying, if the mage gets hit, it's the tank's fault. If the healer gets hit, it's the attack squad's fault. But if the shield bearer gets hit, everybody's screwed up. This basically meant Jinwoo would only get attacked if the whole squad gets used as a mop. Ki-hoon was excited because this was his first time leading Group B. If he pulled this off, he might get promoted to full-time leader. Suddenly, a noise echoed through the dungeon, and the whole team snapped into formation. Jinwoo was impressed. Everyone moved with precision without needing instructions. This was the power of an A-rank squad. A pack of coyotes appeared, and the team wasted no time slicing them to pieces. Honestly, if they had struggled with this, it would have been embarrassing. Jinwoo had soloed 300 of these things back in episode 2, when he was still a weakling. The mage told everyone to duck as she was about to light up the area, and in a flash, the coyotes were gone. But the squad was puzzled. Why the hell were coyotes in an A-rank dungeon? They were only C-rank monsters, way too weak for this level. That's when Jinwoo noticed something odd. These weren't just wild coyotes. They had collar marks on their necks, meaning someone had domesticated them. And that's when the real trouble started. A full squad of high orcs suddenly appeared, and the team instantly began to sweat. One of the orcs threw a spear with the speed of Barry Allen, nearly shattering the leader's shield to pieces. The orcs charged in, and the Red Knight tried to hold them off, but they just used him as a springboard, rushing straight for the mages. One of them caught a fireball to the face like it was nothing, but their magic resistance was off the charts, and the fire barely left a mark. One of the girls managed to restrain one with magic whips, but the orc was basically Hulk, and she could only hold him for 5 seconds. The mage saw the opportunity and summoned 2 enormous fire soldiers, but he had exhausted all his mana and was now vulnerable. The martial artist girl tried to use some fancy moves, but Red Hulk knocked her out with a full-body tackle that sent her crashing into the wall. Things got worse when they were surrounded, and Q-on ordered them to split into 3 groups. No one had expected 20 Red Hulks on steroids to spawn out of nowhere, especially since the portal scanner had shown nothing like this. It didn't take long before someone lost an arm. The mage tried to trap the orc, and the healer showed off her impressive skills by regenerating the lost limb like it was no big deal. But the orc broke through the bindings like they were paper and teleported behind her, ready to end her. Meanwhile, Jinwoo, who had been carrying SpaceX for Elon, mysteriously vanished, and suddenly an orc began choking in midair. Jinwoo had been using stealth mode, going full ninja, and sliced the orc from the inside out. The healer had no idea what had just happened. Another orc suddenly lost its balance, a deep cut appearing on its ankle. Just before Q-on finished it off with a swift blow, the whole squad was baffled. Why had the battle suddenly gotten so much easier? Jinwoo had been silently weakening the orcs one by one without anyone noticing. A few of them even sensed his presence, but Jinwoo quickly dealt with them before they could react, knocking them out of the fight. The martial artist girl used the opportunity to deliver a devastating punch to one of the orcs, while the leader cut through their boss like he was slicing butter, sending the orc crashing to the ground. When the battle ended, everyone checked for injuries. As long as you were still alive, the healer could patch you up. She reported that one of the orcs had started choking out of nowhere. Q-on initially thought it was the mage's doing, but she denied it. There was no way her skills could pull that off. The mage was the only one who figured out that someone outside the squad must have caused it. She realized Jinwoo had been using stealth mode the whole time to secretly take out the orcs, but since she could tell he had a reason for keeping his powers hidden, she decided not to press him about it. After catching their breath, the squad debated whether they should retreat. The high orcs were tough, and no one knew what else was waiting for them. But Q-on was determined to finish the dungeon to prove he could lead the squad and get promoted. Jinwoo could tell the guy was set on completing the raid, but he also cared deeply about his team's safety, so he suggested retreating. Everyone was on edge, thinking he was about to push them forward, but when they tried to leave, a cursed barrier suddenly appeared, trapping them inside. They turned to the mage and asked if she could break it, and she said she could, but it would take time. The real problem? A ridiculously strong monster had to be the one who cast the spell. So retreating was definitely the smart move, as continuing would almost certainly lead to their demise. However, when she tried to break the barrier, she started coughing up blood, and the other mages looked like they were about to pass out. When they looked back, they saw a whole lot of Red Hulk squad deep, ready to smash. If they nearly got wiped by the few before, facing 5 times that would be a nightmare. The squad leader locked eyes with the biggest orc, who stepped forward, yelling at Q-on with breath so foul it could melt vibranium. The orc spoke in a monster language, which no one understood. But then, in a surprising twist, the boss orc switched to human speech. Huan asked if he was the one who had cast the magic barrier, and the orc proudly responded, "Damn right I did. I'm the great and powerful orc master of curses, Kargalgan." He then mocked their weak human spells, saying they wouldn't stand a chance against him. Kargalgan gave them two choices: get obliterated now or follow him. Not being complete fools, they chose the latter. Huan whispered to the squad that they would launch a surprise attack on the boss as soon as they got close, hoping that even if they couldn't defeat him, they could at least break the barrier. He then turned to Jinwoo, telling him to run as soon as the barrier came down and get the real strike team. But Jinwoo, being Jinwoo, replied, "Yeah, and by the time they arrive, you'll all already be turned into orc food." Huan, unfazed, reminded him that their job wasn't to survive, it was to close the portal. That's why we get paid the big bucks. The healer then pulled Jinwoo aside and asked him to deliver a message to her family if he made it out alive. She told him this wasn't his fight, so there was no reason for him to risk his life. Jinwoo just smiled and said, "I'll hold on to this, but I won't need to deliver it." Meanwhile, outside, Chahayan was pacing, wondering if Jinwoo was finally done with his work in the mining crew. The guild leader walked up and asked if she was supposed to be off today. She ignored him and asked if he had seen a hunter named Sung Jinwoo. When he mentioned that Jinwoo had joined as a shield bearer, she froze. Back inside the dungeon, the squad finally reached the boss room. It was chaos, hundreds of high orcs, and a bunch of warrior-type monsters. But the real problem was the boss himself, a terrifying demon of a monster, staring them down like fresh meat. He greeted them with, "Welcome, humans. I've been expecting you." Cha walked up to the gate, squinting at the scene in front of her like she just spotted a cockroach in her cereal. Why was an E-rank hunter strolling into an A-rank dungeon like he owned the place? Did he think he was the goat or something? Something wasn't adding up. She huffed, ready to step into the portal, only to realize she forgot her sword. Well, that's embarrassing. She turned to the chief and asked if they had a spare weapon. The man handed her a rock pickaxe. She stared at it, then at him. She handed it back to him, then asked, "You got anything better? Maybe a sword? A spear? A stick with a nail in it?" But yeah, asking a mining crew for combat weapons was like asking a fish for a bicycle. No luck. She took the pickaxe back. Meanwhile, inside the boss room, the vibe was straight up terrifying. The squad was already shaking in their boots, because if all those superior orcs broke free, they wouldn't just wipe out this squad, they'd wipe out a whole city. That meant they had to take down the boss first. Easy, right? Even the 4 guards around him looked like they crawled straight out of someone's worst nightmare. The soldiers were just waiting for the signal to jump the shaman all at once. Then the Orc King took off his mask and asked if the humans were scared of him. "Sir, read the room." They were out here looking like they were about to have a collective heart attack. Ki-hoon, somehow finding his courage from the depths of his soul, demanded to know why they even brought them here when the orcs from before were already overkill. The Orc King just laughed, shrugged, and said, "For fun. Oh, and also, they were going to smash their heads in one by one for entertainment." Ki-hoon was screaming internally that they were just this bastard's playthings. He gave the order to attack, and absolutely no one moved. They were so scared, they might as well have been background decorations. The leader finally decided to charge in alone, but the boss hit him with a magic ice spike and launched him across the room like a discount rag doll. Then he straight up called the guy an imbecile, used gravity magic, and started playing catch with his head against the ground. Just when he was about to spike him into the abyss, Jinwoo stepped in telling Ki-hoon that the dungeon belonged to the Hunter Guild, so he shouldn't step in. But since the whole squad was about to get bodied, he asked if he could just delete all the monsters in the room. One of the orcs tried to sneak up behind him, but the only thing that got sneaked was the orc's dignity. Jinwoo turned to Ki-hoon, who was now basically begging him to save them all. Jinwoo, instead of panicking like a normal person, looked at the Orc King and said he's never felt anyone with an aura intense as him before. He then told the Orc King that this will be a one-sided battle. Then he summoned his shadow army, now stronger than ever. Outside the portal, Jinchul pulled up in his fancy Rolls Royce, and the miners were absolutely bamboozled. Jinchul wanted to know why the hell Jinwoo had spent 2 days working as a miner. He asked the chief where Jinwoo was, and for the second time that day, the chief had to explain that he was inside fighting. Out of nowhere, a massive energy explosion nearly flattened everyone inside the portal. Cha, at the first battlefield, tries to wrap her head around how Ki-hoon's team had taken down so many superior orcs. Then she reconsidered. If that energy belonged to the boss, none of them were making it out alive. Back in the boss room, the Orc King was clowning Jinwoo, asking asking if he really thought those wimpy little soldiers could take on his mighty army. Jinwoo just smirked and said, "Don't look down on my guys." Then he activated Monarch's domain, boosting his shadow soldier's strength. He had unlocked that skill after hitting level 70 in the demon castle, and now his army was built different. The mages were losing their minds. These guys could barely summon 2 soldiers, and here was this random human with an energy level off the charts. The Orc King gave the signal, and the Bacon Brigade charged straight into battle. Iron went full Thor mode, hammer smashing those bastards into oblivion. Igris, bro, was on demon time, slicing through orcs like salami, but even they couldn't compare to the real monster, Sun Jinwoo. The squad was watching him fight like, bro moves just like Vice Leader Cha. They were all wondering the same thing. Why the hell did he hide that he was this strong? Except for Igris, Iron, and Tank, the rest of the shadows were basically at a B-rank hunter level, so Jinwoo had to wipe out as many orcs as possible before his mana ran out. Then, out of nowhere, the boss dropped the Dragonfire Anthem and wiped out almost all of Jinwoo's shadow soldiers. He called them useless little puppets. Jinwoo just grinned and said, "Better watch yourself, bud," because as long as he had mana, his soldiers would keep respawning. The boss tried dropping an iceberg on Jinwoo's head, and before he could even react, dude was already eating a full 5-piece magic combo with extra sauce. The Orc King screamed that he'd keep obliterating those shadows until Jinwoo's mana ran dry. Meanwhile, the weaklings were running for their lives, trying not to get caught in the crossfire. With all that magic flying around, Jinwoo realized the boss is trying to keep him at a distance. Outside, the association measured the portal level and realized it was way stronger than expected, so they ordered reinforcements. Back inside, the Orc King was dying laughing, saying the kid must be running out of mana. But who gets the last laugh, huh? Cause unlike in his class change quest, here, Jinwoo could chug as many mana potions as he wanted. And that's when things got real fun. Jinwoo straight up extracted the shadows from all the defeated superior orcs. Then he locked eyes with the Orc King and said, "You're next, buddy." That set the boss completely off. The system hit him with a mental blue screen of death, and he started to glitch out of control. Bro's brain was hard crashing, so instead, he sent his generals into battle, ordering them to bring back the humans' heads. Over at the Hunters Guild HQ, Choi got the news about what was happening. He figured Ki-hoon's team should be able to handle a portal like that, but just in case, he ordered his assistant to gather the strongest hunters in the guild. If necessary, they'd even ask other guilds for backup, because if things kept escalating like this, they were going to need all the help they could get. Back in the boss room, the 4 strongest orc warriors charged in, and the first one immediately got whooped by Iron. Igris was out here manhandling 2 at the same time, to the point where he had to drop his sword, but the blade zoomed right back into the master's hands. Tank joins the action and smacks an orc so hard it turns into sushi meat. Jinwoo smirked and said, "Looks like my generals are stronger than yours, huh?" The attack squad was about to step in, but the Orc King activated the Song of High Fever and Song of Blindness, paralyzing, blinding, and locking them in place. Then he smirked and said, "Side characters don't belong on the main stage." Now, he was about to show everyone what happens when you mess with the self-proclaimed GOAT. He unleashed all his magic on Jinwoo, but it shattered instantly, and our protagonist just smirked, saying he's immune to curses and poisons. He summoned his mages to destroy that annoying iceberg, and with the Orb of Avarice, they became even stronger. A fireball pierced through the shield and exploded right in the boss's face, which only made him furious. Meanwhile, Cha arrived in the middle of the chaos, rocking her mighty pickaxe, and she couldn't believe how many soldiers Jinwoo had summoned. She sprinted over to the attack squad, asking what was going on, but even they couldn't explain it. The boss, on the other hand, was done playing. He combined all the spells he had at once and vowed to crush Jinwoo like an insect. He stomped down like a colossal titan, but Jinwoo just scoffed, saying he hates giants. The boss first launched a massive fireball. Then, just for good measure, he launched 100 more. They wiped out both the shadow soldiers and the superior orcs. Smirking, the boss taunted, "Do you still dare to defy the mighty Kargalgan?" But before he could blink, Jinwoo was already on top of him, shoving a dagger straight into his eye. Jinwoo hit him with the ultimate disrespect. The bigger you get, the easier you are to hit. Then, rubbing it in even further, he said that a mere spellcaster like him was no match for an assassin. Jinwoo dodges every single attack, then sniped 2 daggers that broke the boss's defense and chained him up with a castle chain. Using Kargalgan's own strength, he yanked him into the ground like a rag doll. Lucky for us, this fight even had a VIP audience. The association's inspector finally pulled up to witness the spectacle. He said they came to help, but yeah, looks like they won't be needed anymore. Cha, meanwhile, was watching with sparkling eyes, saying, "This is the strength of an elite hunter, not some rank E scrub." She fell deep in love. It's like Cupid kicked her in the face. Jinwoo just smirked and said, "Once a spellcaster loses his protection, he's finished." And right on cue, the Orc King started panicking, screaming that there's no way he could lose in this body. His own soldier slammed his face straight into the ground and ended him. Game over. The last thing he saw was his own former general burying a sword deep into his chest. Just like that, Jinwoo had officially cleared the dungeon boss, racking up tons of XP and a whole bunch of loot. Even though he soloed everything, he figured it wouldn't look too good if he just kept all the loot for himself. But one thing he definitely wasn't sharing: extracting the boss's shadow. The crowd couldn't believe their eyes. That massive monster that had been terrorizing everyone was now kneeling before this kid. When it was time to name him, Jinwoo straight up forgot what the dude was called, so he just went with Tusk. This was the first time he had ever scored a shadow soldier with elite knight rank, which was more than deserving for an A-rank dungeon boss. Not to mention, those superior orcs were way stronger than his usual soldiers. Jinwoo was so locked in collecting shadows that he didn't even notice Inspector Wu was standing right there. He told everyone that Hunter Sung Jinwoo's situation was top secret. The assistants were going to escort him outside, but before he could leave, Ki-hoon spoke up. He said he wasn't going to ask why Jinwoo was hiding all this power. One thing was for sure: the only reason they all made it out alive was because of him. So he straight up thanked Jinwoo for saving his entire squad. Just like that, the whole crew bowed their heads in gratitude. Jinwoo suddenly remembered, oh yeah, he still had to return that healer's journal. Meanwhile, Cha really wanted to talk to him, but the mage cut in like, Vice Captain, why are you holding a pickaxe? Cha instantly turned bright red and nervously asked, do you think he was weird? Meanwhile, back at the Hunters Guild HQ, Chairman Choi let out a deep sigh of relief. It all worked out in the end. First, Jinwoo saved White Tiger, and now he saved them. Choi still couldn't wrap his head around just how much power Jinwoo had. He asked his assistant, who do you think is stronger, him or me? The assistant just hit him with, sir, do you really think you could solo an A-rank dungeon like that? Even Choi had to admit, not a chance. So now, they had one mission: do whatever it takes to recruit that kid. Later, at a cafe, Jinwoo met up with Jinho and asked, so, how'd the negotiations with your dad go? Jinho had to convince him to join the guild if he wanted to be the leader. Meanwhile, at the rank evaluation building, a swarm of reporters was waiting to interview some dude named Lee Min-sung. This guy was already flexing hard about becoming an A rank, but he had no idea what was coming for him. This episode was straight up legendary. I mean, Jinwoo didn't just beat the Orc King, he bullied that man. Bro got packed up like leftover food. Now, real talk, if this absolute banger didn't earn your like, I don't even know what will. Are you seriously gonna sit there and not smash that subscribe button? Let's hit 100k subs by the end of the year. We are not playing around.
All the news reporters and media gather outside the hero training station when suddenly the guildmaster Baek and Choi arrive. Both of them are S-class hunters. They wonder what the hell is going on here, and the reporters start asking if the two of them are here to recruit Min-sung Lee. Baek wonders, who the hell is this ding-dong? And Choi tells them that Lee has already signed a contract with the Reaper Guild, hence they are here to attend some other business. The reporters disrupt their formation, and the two of them trash talk with each other. Baek says that he heard that the Hunters Guild ran into some problem with the S-rank gate, but Choi backs it up, saying that it still didn't kill any hunter like the White Tiger Guild had to suffer in the Red Gate. Both of these leaders are here to take Sung Jinwoo into their team, and they can't wait to beat each other for this. Turns out that Min-sung Lee is a popular actor who is holding a press conference here. He is also a very popular actor, and he has contracted for 2 years with the Reapers Guild run by Lim. Actually, Min-sung is a bastard with many scandals going on, so he wants to work as a hunter for 2 years to get his name removed, and after that, he will use his A-rank status to make his acting career even better. As he is talking crap about himself, a guard stops Jinwoo from entering the building. He says that Jinwoo can't be here at the moment, and suddenly, the chairman of the Heroes Association, Chairman Go, arrives. He says that Jinwoo is his special guest, and they go inside the building. All of Min-sung's hype is gone, so he says that he will be back after talking with the chairman. However, as he tries to enter, Wu steps up and tells the cocky bastard that he can't go inside the building because they are reassessing a hero. Min-sung thinks that he is popular everywhere, but Wu gives him a death stare and he pisses his pants. As Jinwoo is going with Go, he sees Baek and Choi, so Go tells him that they are here to see Jinwoo's reassessment test personally. They go inside the testing room, and the guy asks what Jinwoo's primary magic is. Jinwoo summons a shadow soldier, and they consider that he has summoning magic. However, Go knows what Jinwoo is capable of, as Woo has told him about his abilities, so with no other option, Jinwoo summons all of his magic soldiers. Sensing such tremendous amount of energy, both Baek and Choi are overwhelmed. After the reassessment is complete, Jinwoo is given his new S-rank Hunter ID, and now he can finally sell the Sphere of Avarice with ease and get the equipment he needs for the Demon Castle. Chairman Go congratulates him, and as he goes outside, Baek and Choi try to hit a conversation with him, since he is the first S-rank hunter to appear after 2 years. However, Jinwoo ignores them and goes straight outside where the paparazzi are waiting for him. Han sees this on stream and shakes Gina, who is shocked to see that her brother is an S-rank hunter. Everyone is amazed to see this, and the press conference quickly runs towards Jinwoo. Meanwhile, Jinho tells his father that he wasn't able to hire Jinwoo. However, he offered Jinho to join him. His father is pissed because he was planning to hand over the guild to his elder brother, but Jinho begged for a chance, and now he is planning to join Jinwoo. No matter what the consequence, he is ready to face those. On the other hand, Jinwoo is having a hard time with the press, so Baek offers his assistance, but Jinwoo quickly vanishes away. Choi is very impressed by this, but Baek goes into a sudden shock. He can't believe that Jinwoo is even stronger than the last time they met. Jinwoo goes to the hero store to buy some clothes for the Demon Castle, but they are just too much for him. The appraiser says that Jinwoo can have all of the things in the glass if he can break it. Jinwoo can sense some magic from the enchanted glass, but it is not too much, so he prepares to break it, but the old lad stops him. He says that he was just joking, and even a small disturbance can summon the security. Jinwoo apologizes and says that he is also looking for some new daggers, so the other appraiser takes him away. But when the old man looks at the glass, it is already broken a bit. Jinwoo finds a good dagger, but it is also too much for him. He quickly hits a plan and brings out his night dagger he got from the store to ask for its pierce. The man tells him that this can be sold for as much as 100 million, but Jinwoo bought it for just 3 million gold from the system store. This allows him to get the items he needs without selling the Sphere of Avarice. At night, Baek is still wondering what the hell happened earlier, because Jinwoo has awakened a long time ago. That's when reality dawns upon him that he might be a hunter whose strength grows over time. The next day, Gina is peeking through the window when the press finally leaves them alone, and she yells at Jinwoo for being the center of attention. He is taken off guard and tells her that he is going out for a week. Suddenly, Jinho arrives, and this acts as a perfect plan for Jinwoo to tell Jinna that he's going on work with his friend. At night, both Jinna and Jinho are sleeping when Jinwoo summons the Tusk's guards. He wonders why there are 3 of them and remembers that he forgot to pull out the one in the ceiling. He assigns one of them to protect Jinna and summons a bunch of Shadow Knights to patrol the nearby area. The next day, he heads off to the tower with Jinho, who asks why he going there. Jinwoo says that he going for a training, but he is an S-rank hunter already, so Jinho is impressed. Jinwoo enters the Demon Castle, and thanks to his cape and ring, he can resist the heat with ease. Suddenly, the system pops up, tells him to defeat the Demon Monarch Baron at the top floor, and he will also get a new skill of Shadow Exchange. Back in the real world, Jinho's dad suddenly falls on the ground as he is talking with his wife. Back in the castle, a giant demon monster appears in front of Jinwoo, so he wants to check out the strength of the king of the High Orcs. He summons Tusk and wonders what he will do with the Sphere of Avarice. Tusk charges up, and in just a single blow, he disintegrates the monster. Turns out that Jinho's father is suffering from the eternal sleep disease, the same disease which has infected Jinwoo's mother. Jinwoo has been on the 80th floor for 2 days, and he has divided his squads to make faster progress. But suddenly, he sees that someone is killing the squads, so he rushes towards them. The monsters are going after the weaker squads first, which means that they are not any regular monsters. Tank's squad comes face to face with them, and the Demon Knights quickly kill all of the bears. Jinwoo appears in front of them, and in just a few seconds, he slices the Demon Knights. Only their leader is left, and Jinwoo asks if the demons like her feel fear. But now he knows the answer, since the demon is shaking like hell. The two start fighting, but the demon leader is not a match for Jinwoo, so he breaks her sword, and just when she is about to get stabbed right in the neck, she surrenders. Jinwoo hears the voice and thinks it is a human, so he takes her helmet off and she turns out to be an elf girl. She apologizes and says that Jinwoo has won the fight since she is giving up. Jinwoo thinks that the girl is bluffing since her knights are killed and she was about to die as well. The elf girl explains that their duty is to protect their lord, and since she is alive, they will still be happy. This is just an excuse, but Jinwoo accepts it and leaves her alone. However, the stupid girl pulls a dagger to stab Jinwoo in the back. Tusk uses his sound of protection and saves Jinwoo, while the girl starts begging for her life again. Tusk levitates her in the air, so Jinwoo asks for the permit to the next floor. The demon girl explains that her family has the permit, and she also knows the permits to the other floors. If he can guarantee her family's safety, she will gladly offer him the permit. Jinwoo has no other option but to accept this offer since he has been stranded on the 80th floor for 2 days. However, Jinwoo gives the girl a death stare and asks if she can be trusted. The elf girl is scared to death after seeing Jinwoo's aura, so she guarantees that she won't betray him. Meanwhile, an ant soldier from the Jeju Island has arrived on the mainland, and it completely kills a whole town. The girl reveals to Jinwoo that her name is Isil, and her family is the Radiru family. Jinwoo wants to get some information regarding the system, so he asks her if she hears a voice telling her to kill the human. Isil rejects it, saying that she hears a voice telling her to protect the place she is in, and she has been hearing it since they came here. Jinwoo is shocked and asks where she was earlier. The system starts to glitch, and Isil tells him that they used to live in the demon realm, and they were preparing for war against a strong enemy. But one day, she opened her eyes, and she was in the demon castle. The voice message is terminated, and Isil falls unconscious. Back in the real world, the demon ant is finally killed by an A-rank hunter. However, it killed 6 hunters and more than 200 civilians. The town was located 120 kilometers away from the Jeju Island, and since the insects are flying, they will soon arrive at the mainland. So, Chairman Go announces that they will start the 4th raid on the Jeju Island. Meanwhile, Jinwoo reaches the Radiru family's castle, and Isil's father gets scared to death when he sees the soldiers in Jinwoo's shadow. Jinwoo is impressed by this, but the father is pissed, so he tells that he will put him to eternal sleep if he tries to deceive his daughter. Jinwoo says that he just wants the permit, and he will leave them alone. Since the father is aware of Jinwoo's power, he gives the permit willingly and tells him to go away. However, Jinwoo wants to borrow Isil as well because she knows the permits for the next floors. At the 89th floor, Tank and Igris attain a higher rank, and both of them are now A rank and S rank respectively. Isil is looking at the rewards for trade because the higher floors will be very tough for them and they can only win by negotiation. Jinwoo doesn't care about this crap because he knows that Isil would have put him to sleep if he was weaker than her. He tells her to go home, since the next floors will be stronger than the rest, and he has promised her father to keep her safe. Isil says that she wants to accompany him till the end to see what Master Jinwoo can really achieve, so Jinwoo agrees to her demands. The power level of the monsters spikes when they reach the 90th floor, and Jinwoo slowly clears all the floors because he wants the elixir of life at all costs. On the other hand, the preparations for the 4th raid have started, and Choi tells Cha that Bake and all the S-rank hunters from the country will soon join them. Not only that, the strongest hunters from Japan will join them too, so they can make the plan. Isil and Jinwoo finally reach the 100th floor, but nobody can be seen. The weather is cloudy, and suddenly, a flash of lightning appears, which sends a massive shockwave. That's when the demon monarch, Baron, appears on his giant wyvern. The duo is overwhelmed by the bloodlust aura of the demon monarch. Baron uses his skills to summon a bunch of gates, which are used to summon a horde of demon knights. They pounce on the duo, and that's when Jinwoo uses the monarch's domain to summon his shadow soldiers. Although the shadow soldiers are stronger than the demon knights, but they are consuming a lot of mana. Tusk uses his Song of Fire to fry a bunch of demon knights, but Baron follows John Cena, so he is not giving up anytime sooner. He uses his lightning blast to take out the shadow soldiers, but one bolt comes towards Isil. Jinwoo barely manages to save her, and uses his stealth skill with the sonic speed to take out Baron, but he sees right through his stealth and throws him into the ground. Baron uses a homing attack, so Jinwoo orders Tusk to defend him, and he slices through the wyvern's neck using Igris's blade. Baron is finally on the ground, and the real battle will begin now. Back at the Heroes Association, Hanakawa introduces herself and Goto Ryuji, the guildmaster of the Drawn Sword Guild. She explains that the ants on the Jeju Island have a lifespan of a year, and if they are able to take out the queen, the rest of them will die in a year. However, The insects show a strange behavior, and they are attracted to stronger enemy. Ryuji says that 10 of his 11 S-rank hunters will participate in this raid, including himself. Everyone is shocked to hear it because they were expecting Japan to blur this raid. In the Demon Castle, Jinwoo is running out of mana quickly since Baron is wiping out everyone. All the commanders of Jinwoo launch at Baron to take him out, but he is just too powerful. Jinwoo uses his fatal blow, but Baron blocks it with ease. He grabs Jinwoo by his head and swings his sword at him, but Iron and Tusk hold it in midair. Jinwoo puts his daggers into Baron's arm, and Igris pierces right through the other one. Just when Baron is about to be killed, he goes off like a nuke, killing every last shadow soldier. Now, only Jinwoo is left, and Baron summons his Blades of Chaos. Aciel is standing in disbelief, and the battle begins. The two fight each other at supersonic speed, and leave a crater in the ground whenever their blades collide. However, Baron is tired of this, so he uses the lightning to throw away Jinwoo's daggers, and just when he is about to chop Jinwoo like a sushi, he grabs the bastard's arm. But this is a grave mistake, since Bara charges another attack, and suddenly, a dagger comes at Baron. Aciel is the one to throw it, and this distraction gives Jinwoo the time to invest his skill points into strength. He starts pushing Baron using the ruler's hand, so Baron prepares another attack. This time, Jinwoo rips his arm from his body using the ruler's ability, and since he was trained by Saitama, he one-shots Baron right in the face. Baron's face bursts like a balloon, and the attack goes straight into the air, going off like a nuke. Baron's lifeless body falls on the ground, and the system shows that Jinwoo has successfully defeated the Demon Monarch. Aciel rushes towards Jinwoo, and he tells her to go back to her dad and tell him that he is now the king of the Demon Caste. The system shows that Jinwoo has finally got the last ingredient for the elixir of life, and now he can craft it. However, the rate of success depends on the intelligence level of the crafter, so Jinwoo is hesitant. Aciel wonders what the hell is going on. Jinwoo has waited so long, regardless of the outcomes. He decides to craft the elixir. The crafting is successful, and Jinwoo gets 6 elixir of life bottles. Suddenly, Iron arrives with the dead body of the dragon, so Jinwoo uses his magical word and gets the shadow. He names it Kaisel. And Essel is happy since they can go back on Kaisel in no time. She suggests that they should throw a party, but Jinwoo wants to test the elixir as soon as possible. That's when he remembers about the rune stone. He gets the rune stone, which gives him the ability to exchange himself with a shadow soldier. Jinwoo apologizes to Essel and says that she will need to return herself. Essel was about to say the words your dad never said to you, but Jinwoo is long gone, and a shadow soldier appears. The hospital is a bit far away from this location, so Jinwoo jumps in the air and summons Kaisel to get there quick. Meanwhile, Chairman Go is telling Woo about the plan, where the hunters of Japan will act as a bait to lure out the enemies, and a hidden signal will be used to disrupt the mind of the hive, which will give them an opportunity to take out the queen. However, if the signal doesn't work, they will have to withdraw, and the hunters must be prepared for anything. He asks if Woo was able to contact Jinwoo, but he denies. That's when we see Baek having a dinner with his friend, Min Byung. He is a very friendly guy with a weird sense of humor, but he is an S-rank hunter. He retired at a young age, but he is still very close to Baek. Min asks him if he really wants to head back to that island after everything that happened during the last time with Unseok. Unseok was one of their comrades, and he was killed by the ants during the last raid. Baek says that he wants to protect thousands Min from those sneak bastards. Min says that he won't be joining him, but Baek interrupts him, saying that he is just here to let him know, since this might be the last time they are seeing each other. The two have enjoyed each other's company and drink a lot. Meanwhile, Jinwoo is looking at his mother, remembering the past when he attempted to wash his mother's hair, but accidentally used boiling hot water and scalded her neck. He wants to repay for what he had done, but wonders what will happen if her puts the elixir in her mouth. With no other option, he decides to get her mother up and uses the full bottle to heal her. The scares suddenly disappear, and Jinwoo sits down, waiting desperately for his mother to get up. As the moonlight flashes in the room, Jinwoo is taken back when he sees his mother sitting on the bed. Jinwoo barely controls his emotions as his mother asks how long it has been since she was asleep. He tells her that it has been 4 years. And she asks about Jinna. Jinwoo says that she is doing well too, but Jinwoo loses it when his mother thanks him for bringing her back. She is proud that Jinwoo kept his promises but sees the injuries on her son, which makes her question if Jinwoo has been going through a lot. Jinwoo starts crying like a baby and tells her mom that everything is fine. The next day, the doctors piss their pants when they hear that an eternal sleep patient has awakened after 4 years, and all of her vitals are working perfectly, so the family is asking them to discharge her immediately. Jinwoo arrives to see her mother, but before her mother can say anything, Jinwoo hugs her and starts to cry. The two can't hold their emotions, and Jinwoo is really happy that he has accomplished his dream. We see that Chairman Go is giving a press conference where he tells the media that they are going on the 4th raid of the Jeju Island. But this time, things will be different since this will be a joint operation with the neighboring country. Only S-rank hunters will participate in this, but the A-rank hunters and the rest will protect the mainland. Everyone is watching the live broadcast, and that's when Min remembers the last meetup with Eun-seok. Baek was out cold after drinking, and Min tells Yoon that he is terrified to go to the island. Eun-seok says that he feels the same way, but the hunters are the only ones who can defend the normal people. Also, Baek can be ruthless sometimes, so he and Min should always be by his side when things go sideways. The hero family returns to the apartment, and Gina has turned it into a trash can. They tidy up the place together, but Jinwoo feels anxious even after seeing her mother finally moving after 4 years. She asks if Jinwoo has heard anything from his father, but Jinwoo denies. She tells him that she heard the news that Jinwoo has become a hunter, and not only that, his father used to be a firefighter before becoming a hunter because he loved helping others. That's why Jinwoo has inherited such traits. Suddenly, Jinwoo gets a call. Chairman Go appreciates Woo coming to the conference, but he wasn't expecting Thomas Andre to pop up. He is an S-rank American hunter who can easily rival a whole country, but he didn't join the raid. He just wanted to let them know about the Huang situation, or maybe he had some other business. He asks Woo if he was able to contact Jinwoo, and he replies that he will be arriving shortly. Jinwoo arrives, and Go tells him about the raid, which is a perfect opportunity to level up, but Jinwoo doesn't want to since he wants to spend his time with his family. Suddenly, he senses a magical shockwave coming from nearby. Go tells him that the S-rank hunters are training in the gym, so they should go there to have a look. In the training ground, we see Baek going toe-to-toe with Hunter Ma, but he is an S-rank taekwondo fighter, so he takes down Baek with ease and tells him to work on his lower body. In the meantime, Choi arrives who tells them that Baek can take out Ma with ease if he decides to go all out. Jinwoo asks why he isn't doing so. Choi explains that he turns into a monster when fighting with full power. Suddenly, the heroes from Japan's Drawn Sword Guild arrive. Ryuji is quick to sense Jinwoo's extreme aura and thinks that he is an assassin. Hanakawa sees Baek and Ma fighting and trash talks about their pathetic training. This pisses off the other heroes, so Ryuji suggests that they should fight each other. Only S-ranks will participate, and Go says that only the combatants will fight. Baek sets the rules and they make a 4-member team from each country for an all-out brawl.